Hello guys, so today I'm here to do a tag, and this is the 52 Nifty Bookish Cues tag, which was created by Strip Cover Lit, and they're a great channel. If you've not seen them, I would check them out. I'll put a link in the description below. And yeah, basically there are 52 questions, which is a lot. Probably the most I've seen in a tag on BookTube. And they're all really just about reading and what you like and what you don't like. So I've written all the questions in a notebook, and I'm just going to go through them. This might be a long video. So number one, what book are you reading right now? So the book I'm currently reading is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I'm almost halfway, I think. It's the second in the Scythe series, so I can't say much about it, but it's brilliant. If you haven't read Scythe, I would go ahead and read it because it's amazing. Number two, what was the last thing you highlighted? I don't highlight, whether that's in books or any other time. I don't use highlighters, and I don't highlight in books. Number three, what do you plan to read next? So for me, it's a difficult choice because I never know what to read next. I just pick something up and start reading. So I'm currently trying to decide between Children of Blood and Bone and Truth Witch, and a couple of other books that are coming in the post today. Book haul up later. So yeah, I'm not really sure at the moment, but if I find out how to do it, I'll see if I can put a poll up. But if a poll doesn't come up, then I don't know how to do that. Okay, number four, one fiction writer, living or dead, with which I would like to grab a drink. Now for me this is an easy one, and I'm going to say J.K. Rowling. I know Adrian from Strip Cover Lit doesn't like J.K. Rowling, but I think she's amazing, and I love Harry Potter. Obviously I've read all the books, I've seen all the films, I've seen all the Fantastic Beasts, well, the two Fantastic Beasts films. I just love her, I think she's amazing. Okay, number five, one non-fiction writer, living or dead, with which you would like to grab a drink. For non-fiction, I'm going to go with Matt Haig. He writes non-fiction and fiction, but the non-fiction that I've read is, what is it called? I'm trying to think what the book's called now, but it was amazing. It had a white cover, and it was about his struggle with depression and stuff. Shit, okay, I've forgotten what the book's called, but he's written a few non-fiction. He's written the one that I can't think of, and he's also written Notes on a Nervous Planet, I think is the newest one. I can't remember the other one, but yeah, I think he's incredible, and I would love to have a drink with him. Okay, sorry if I'm looking down as my notebook is here. Number six, one poet, living or dead, with which I would like to grab a drink. For this, I'm going with Kate Tempest. I don't know how many of you have heard of her, but I think she's incredible. She's very kind of like very kind of down to earth and easygoing, and her poetry is incredible, and I would just love to sit with her and talk to her about her poetry because I think she's amazing. Number seven, one booktuber with which I would like to grab a drink. Now this is a funny question because when I went to Walker Fiction Fest quite a few years ago, I met Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books, and she was just so lovely. We didn't talk much because obviously we were busy with the event and stuff, but she just seemed like such a lovely person. So maybe her, and then also there was a time when me and Charlie from Duvet Day Devours were planning to meet up and go book shopping and just spend the day together, but our kind of schedules didn't allow for it. So I would say Charlie from Duvet Day Devours. I I don't know, maybe hopefully we could still do that, meet up and buy books and go to coffee shops and just chat. So hopefully that will work out someday. Where am I? Number 8, Emily Dickinson or Edgar Allan Poe. I haven't read Emily Dickinson, but I've heard a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. I haven't actually read any Edgar Allan Poe, but I've actually got 4 or 5 books of his short story collections. So, and also I think the horror genre is very difficult to write in and write successfully in. So I would go for Edgar Allan Poe. Number 9, Hemingway or Fitzgerald. I haven't read either. I know Hemingway is Ernest Hemingway, and he wrote Moby Dick, I think, and A Movable Feast, and things like that. And who was the other one? Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald, I presume, who wrote Great Gatsby and some other stuff. Oh, Frankie and Zoe, I think, as well. But yeah, I don't really know between those two. I haven't read either of them. If I was going to choose one, I'd go for Fitzgerald. Okay, number 10. Jane Austen or Charles Dickens. I'm going to have to go with Charles Dickens. Oliver Twist. I've not read the book, but the movie, the one movie adaptation of Oliver Twist with, who is in it? He's a very famous actor, but I can't remember his name, and he plays, oh, I can't even remember the character's name. Oh, Fagin. He plays Fagin. I think it's Oliver Reed, I'm not sure. But that adaptation is one of my favourite movies of all time. I think it's incredible. So yeah, I'll go with Charles Dickens. I've also seen like a few other adaptations of his stuff on TV. On British TV, quite a number of years ago, there was an adaptation of The Old Curiosity Shop. It had loads of famous people in it. It had Stephen Fry, it had, I think, David Walliams was in it, Helena Bonham Carter, I think, was in it, and lots of other comedians and non-comedians, but it was incredible. So yeah, I'd say Charles Dickens. Number 11, Harris or Hitchens. Now, I'm not sure who, I presume Harris is Thomas Harris, who wrote the Hannibal Lecter books, and I don't know who Hitchens is. So purely based on that, I'd have to go with Harris. 12, Stephen King or Michael Crichton. Now this is difficult-ish, because obviously Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park books. And then we have Stephen King, who's extremely prolific and has wrote over like 60 books. And I've loved movie and TV adaptations of King's, simply for the fact that I've watched most adaptations of Stephen King's novels and enjoyed them. I'm going to go for Stephen King. Netflix did this thing, I think it was Netflix, and they had about 4 or 5 adaptations of Stephen King's novels. There was Gerald's Game, 1922, Under the Dome has also been made into a TV show in Britain, in England, and yeah, there's been quite a few Stephen King adaptations in England, so I'm going to say Stephen King. 13, Bret Easton Ellis or Chuck Palahniuk. Now, simply because he writes mainly sci-fi, and I love sci-fi, I'm going to go with Bret Easton Ellis. Oh, Bret Easton Ellis also wrote Psycho, didn't he? Which I haven't seen. Oh no, an American Psycho, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I'm just going to have to go with Bret Easton Ellis. 14, Kurt Vonnegut or John Green. Simply because I don't read a lot of contemporary, I'm going to go with Kurt Vonnegut. I haven't read any of his stuff, but obviously I know of Slaughterhouse-5, and Cat's Cradle, I think, is one, and yeah, so simply because I don't really read many contemporaries, I'm going to go with Kurt Vonnegut. 15, Shakespeare's poems or plays. I love Shakespeare's plays. I was actually in quite a few when I was in boarding school. We used to do every year, on our graduation day, we called it. It wasn't every single year we graduated, but we called it a graduation day. It was basically just an excuse for the parents to come and find out what's been going on during the year and how we've been doing in our lessons, and really to just have a good time. There was like stalls and stuff set up in the grounds, and local businesses came to sell like hot food, and there was some charity shops who came and set up stalls. It was basically just like a massive fete. So yeah, I'm gonna go with plays. 16, Adrian Fort or Dalton Gentry. Now this one made me laugh. I'm gonna say, which one is the one with the beard? Dalton Gentry, I think. I don't know why, but his personality, I just warm to him. And every time I watch a video with him, like whether it's an original tag that he's created or just with him and Adrian, I don't know why, but I always warm to Dalton. Not that I don't like Adrian, I think he's amazing. I think they're both amazing, but if I had to choose, I'd say Dalton. 17, Cormac McCarthy or J.K. Rowling? That's obvious, don't need to answer that. 18, Hannibal Lecter or Voldemort? Again, don't need to answer. I love a villain, but I love J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. 19, T.C. Boyle or George Saunders? Haven't read either of them, so I can't answer that one. 20, good writing or a good story? For me, I'm going to have to go with a good story. If the writing is good but the story is bad, there's just no point in writing the story, because you're making a bad story sound good with your writing. So in that way, there's no reason for anyone to read it. So yeah, I'm going to go with a good story. And obviously, think about the books I read: Harry Potter, Scythe, Percy Jackson, all of them story-based, brilliantly story-based. 21, YA or children's lit? I think that's also obvious, I'm going to say YA. 22, irony or humour? I prefer humour. 23, sci-fi or horror? This is a difficult choice, but I've read more sci-fi than I have horror, so I'm going to go with sci-fi. 24, fantasy or non-fiction? Again, for me this is pretty obvious, I'm going to go with fantasy. 25, rather find a new favourite contemporary writer or a new favourite all-time great? Now that one was difficult because, as I said, I think they mean new favourite contemporary as in somebody who is writing now, hopefully, rather than a writer of contemporary fiction like John Green or Becky Albertalli or something. So if we're talking in the sense of finding a new writer that's writing now instead of a contemporary fiction writer, I would say rather find a new contemporary writer. 26, sonnet or haiku? I love poetry. I think it's a beautiful art form, so I'm going to go with sonnet. Both of them are amazing though. 27, Sestina or Villanelle? Now these are also poems. I know a lot of people have been confused about that, but yeah, Sestina and Villanelle are forms of poems, and I haven't really got a preference. If I had to choose, I'd say Sestina. 28, spend the evening at a library or a bookstore? For me, I would say bookstore if I had the money, or if I had endless money and I could just spend 4 or 5, 6 hours in there picking up any books I wanted. Bookstore. 29, magazine or Wikipedia article? I prefer Wikipedia. I use it all the time on my phone. The Wikipedia app is brilliant. 31, the writer I would like to write my biography. Now, there are probably many that I would like to write my biography, but the person who I think would do a brilliant job at writing my biography would be Matt Haig. I think he's amazing. If you've read... I keep forgetting what the book is called that he wrote that I loved. It has a white cover. If anybody knows what it is and can remind me, that'd be amazing. It has a white cover and it's about his depression and stuff like that and how he dealt with that. So yeah, I would say Matt Haig, yeah. Right. 32. I do or do not highlight in my books. Like I said, never. Never. I think that's a disgrace. I do or do not write in my books. Again, never. Disgrace. 34. Earliest memory of a library. I don't really have one, to be fair, because I don't go to libraries often. I started reading when Harry Potter came out. Literally. Sorry. Literally, Harry Potter sparked my love of books. Never really read anything before that. Maybe apart from a few bits of poetry and some stuff when I was in school. But yeah. So, for that one, I don't really have an answer. 35. Last time you went to the library. Again, don't go very often. So, I'm going to have to say about 5 years ago. 36. Have you ever stolen or accidentally stolen books from the library? Now, me saying I don't go to the library very often, I actually have accidentally stolen a book from the library. It was when I basically had a book from the library and then forgot about it, and then 3 or 4 years later moved house and was packing everything up, saw this book, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this book before, and looked in it and realised it was a library book that I'd taken out and not taken back to the library. So I kind of didn't know that I stole it. So, yeah. 37. Ballpark, how many books do you own? Roughly around 200. 38. How many books do you think would make for a reasonable personal library? As many as you want. Whether you have 1 book, 10 books, 50 books, 100 books, 1,000 books, 1,000,000 books, whatever. If you have books and you read, that's all that matters. Why should it matter how many books you have to make a reasonable library? 39. So there's Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, etc. How do you feel about the phenomenon? Don't really have anything to say about that. I don't read a lot of classics, so I don't know what adding sea monsters and zombies does to the stories. I haven't even seen the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies film, so I have no idea. Can't really comment. Number 40. Horror trope you would like to see get more love. I don't really understand tropes, but as I gather, a trope is something that is like a standard thing that happens in every like genre of a book, if you know what I mean. So like, could be insta love, could be, I don't know, could be, yeah. So I kind of do know what tropes are, but I don't really have anything to add because I don't really look for tropes. I don't really recognise tropes. I just kind of read, and that's it. So 41. Something that you think gets underutilised in sci-fi. Now, I do have an answer for this, and there are a couple. The first thing I think that gets underutilised in sci-fi is the exploration of other planets. I've read so many sci-fi books where they go to one planet and most of the story, or the majority of the story, is based on that planet, or it's based between that planet and back on Earth, where like there's communications between both. But I never really read a book where, say in the main part, say in the first 300 pages, 6 planets are mentioned. I've never really read a sci-fi book where in the next few pages, in the rest of the book, like 2 or 3 of those planets are explored. It's usually only ever one other planet. So maybe that's just the sci-fi books I've read, but I'm going for that. There was another one, but I'm not going to go into it. 42. Flash fiction, form of and format of literature, or it's just a short story dummy. Now, I've never heard this term, flash fiction. What I believe it to be is a short book, so like a short story that is longer than a certain number of pages, but not so much to make a novel, if that makes sense. So, for instance, what I think it means is that if you have a book that's 100 or under like 120 pages, that could be classed as like a novella. And then anything above that, but below sort of 250, would probably be classed as flash fiction. So yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest, because I'm not really sure what flash fiction is. But I do love short stories and novellas, which you'll see in the book haul that should be coming up later today. 43. If you could own one book from all of history, what would it be? I don't have an answer for this. I've never really thought about it. I just own books and read them and love them. 44. Audiobooks, the same thing as reading? I think if you're digesting the story and you're invested in it and you understand everything that's going on and can make a coherent like review of it or whatever in your mind, then yeah, I think it's fine. 45. Most literary songwriter of your time. I presume this means the kind of songwriter who I connect with most emotionally because of things I've been through and stuff in my life. I presume that's what it means. So for this, I'm going to go with a relatively new artist, and that's Jess Glynn. I'm so sorry, I've got a really bad throat today. Yeah, Jess Glynn. I think her voice is incredible. B, I think her songwriting is beautiful. And C, every one of her songs, or I could always find something in every one of her songs that I relate to, whether that's to do with things that have happened in my life, or the way I'm feeling on the day, or whatever. Every time I listen to any single one of her songs, even if I've never heard them, I always connect to it. And yeah, I've also seen Jess Glynn live, and let me tell you, that woman can hit notes that I didn't even think a human could hit live. It's incredible. So yes, Jess Glynn. And her new album, Always in Between, is, excuse my French, but it's fucking incredible. So yeah, I love Jess Glynn. Okay, 46. What writer embarrasses you the most because you haven't read them? None. Like I said, I'll read what I want to read. I don't feel like I have to read things or not read them. I just read. And similarly, the same for the next one. What writer embarrasses you the most because you read too much from them? None. 48. What is a biography you are looking forward to reading? I don't really read biographies, so don't have an answer for that. 49. Do you have a dream reading cubby? Now, I wouldn't say cubby, but I have a dream setup in my... Well, I say dream. I have a really cool setup in my room, which I'm not going to show you today. I might do a video about it. But I'm sitting on the edge of my bed right now, and behind me over this side is a sofa that I got pretty cheap online. And it's got throws on it, it's got cushions on it, and I literally can sit there for a whole day, which I have actually done. Well, not a whole day. I had to have breaks for food and stuff like that. But I could sit there and just read for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's how I read Scythe so quickly. I read it in like... Well, actually, I think I read it over 3 or 4 days. But I would literally sit there for like 4 hours and then have a break. For 4 hours reading and then have a break, excuse me. And then come back and read for another 4 hours and then have a break. And that's how I get most of my reading done. So yeah, like I said, I might do a video about it. If you want to let me, if you want me to do a video about it, let me know. Yeah. So I already kind of have one. Okay, 2 more questions to go. Wow, we're almost at the end. 50. Last literary phenomenon that really got your gears grinding. Like I said, I don't really look out for things like that. I just read. Yeah, nothing really annoys me in reading. Apart from when a book is written badly, that really annoys me. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with nothing. I genuinely can't think of anything. 51. The last piece of literature that changed the way you read. Again, don't really have an answer, I just read. I suppose I've gotten more into short stories recently and novellas, simply because they're easy to get through, and if they're written well, you can make a connection kind of almost instantly, so that by the time the short story or novella is finished, you still feel a connection to the character or whatever, or the place that's been written about. So if I had to go with something, I'd say short stories. And I mean, that started for me with, just looking at the books over there, I forget what it's called now. Which one is it? I think Heartbreaker by Maurice Mayer or Gut Shot by Amelia Gray. Yeah, I'd have to go with one of those two. And the last question is, what booktuber have you been watching the most recently? For this I have a few answers. I mean, I watch all of the people that I watch regularly, if that makes sense. So I always watch Charlie from DVD Devours videos, I always watch Erin from Rast Queen's videos, I always watch Reagan from Peruse Project's videos, so yeah, like the regular ones I watch regularly anyway. But there are a few that I subscribed to recently, which I'm loving, and that's Dane from Dane Reads. His channel's awesome. He has this vibe that's so, like, so warm and carefree. I love it. So Dane, and then there's Graham from the channel Graham Quigley. I think he's a really nice guy. He reads some really interesting books and has some really interesting things to say about books. There's Argyle's Dinosaur, which I heard about and subscribed to through Dane Reads. She's awesome. I love her channel. And that's it really. Like, I just watch BookTube. Yeah, so that's it. That was the 52 Nifty Bookish Cues thingy whatever video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not going to tag anyone. If you've seen this video and you want to do it, do it. Actually, I will actually tag Charlie from DVD Devours. I think I watched a video where somebody else also tagged her. I don't think she's done it yet. So yeah, I'm going to tag Charlie. That is the only person I'm going to actually officially tag. If you want to do this video, do it. I think it's a great tag. And I will see you again for a pretty large book haul. Yeah, so watch out for that. See you later. Thank you for watching. Don't forget you can follow me on Goodreads. Just look for Lee Johnson. You can follow my bookstagram at bookishtrances on Instagram. And yeah, subscribe, like the video, comment, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.